Today I want to go over the sharpening system that I use, and that's the TSPROF Pioneer. So this is a fixed angled guide rod system. So you just you clamp your knife into here, and you can use your different stones in the stone holder here. It uses 1x6 stones. And we'll go ahead and start from the top. So on the end of the guide rod, we have this nice adjustable, I'll flip it around so we can see, this nice piece so we can adjust the depth that the stone will go. So if you don't want the stone to kind of kick off the end of the knife, then you can just make that adjustment there. And we've got this nice little ball pivot system here, which allows for some very smooth action while using it. And that does rotate there. So if you have something clamped more off to the side and want to get those longer edges, longer blades on the edges, it will accommodate that very well. So we've got this nice little piece here to kind of just hold those stones and move them out of the way while you're getting everything clamped in. And it's just a very nice spring quick release system there, so we can pull that off and clamp it in. This is an aftermarket leather strop that I got here. I think I got it from Grit-O-Matic, loaded with some diamond paste, but they do come with a set of pretty good diamond stones. I've gotten some pretty good results from those. We got a 150 to 1000. That's a 5-pack there, and I've gotten really good results with those. All right, so we have the way to select the angle, or the way to adjust for the angle here. We just loosen this piece up, and then this just freely moves. We do have some small angle markers there, but those are kind of irrelevant because if you have a wider or further out blade, then that angle isn't going to be the same for those. So I use a digital angle finder. I zero it to this surface here, so it is zeroed to the very center plane of the blade, and then so that'll give me an accurate angle for the secondary bevel when I line it up to the guide rod. So we will adjust the angle, and we can tighten this back down, and moving on to the clamps. So I did have to get some aftermarket L clamps for these, and these are just hand tightened on the back of here. But in order for it to accommodate smaller blades, normally these clamps will only go in about this far on either side. One will be here and one will be over here. And that's for smaller blades. That's not really the best for a lot of smaller pocket knives, like 3 inches under. So you will kind of need something to be able to get that over. Different people make different aftermarket parts, but I got these directly from TSPROF. This flipping mechanism. For a fixed angle system, I mean, I don't see how it could get any better than this. I mean, you just take this and it just has it loose, flip it over, let it go, and it is, I mean, rock solid. So it's a really nice system there, just to be able to go back and forth, makes it very quick. So we clamp in using just an Allen key, and I keep a rare earth magnet stuck on the back here, and I'll just stick that there, and that's where it lives. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna put an edge on this Quietcarry Catch in Vanax. Still has the factory edge on it, and just to find that, I'm going to use a very fine stone because I don't want to be marking it up looking for that angle. I think I have it pretty close on. Let me put on a fresh line. All right, so we can see that it is a hair too low. So I want to drop it by just a couple of degrees, and I'll remeasure that. Let me make sure that's zeroed out good there. And just so I know. All right, so we got 18.2 degrees on the Quietcarry Catch in Vanax. And I am just barely clearing the thumb stud, and we are looking good around the tip as well. So I'll go ahead and throw on I'm going to throw a little bit of tape around that thumb stud and the scales. Just won't mark anything up. And we'll go ahead and throw on the 150 diamond. and get started and form our initial scratch pattern. So I'm going to start at the bottom left and go to the top right to form my initial scratch pattern. And now this blade did come from the factory with a very slight, I think, unintentional recurve right before the heel right there, and so I want to take that out, and I hope it doesn't form a smile on me when I do that. So a smile is when you take off too much material around the heel, and you can see like the sharpened bit of the secondary bevel starts to curve up into the sharpening choil. And it's just not pretty. I don't know if there's any functional problems with that. I know people don't like it. I don't like it. It just doesn't look like a very nice quality edge when you see that. So I'll try to be careful not to ride over that heel too much, and I'll keep my finger here under the tip so I'll know that I am not going to roll over that tip as well. So I see a pretty good scratch pattern formed. I'm not seeing any of the factory, and I feel the tiniest bit of burr. All right, so we're going to flip it. And we're going to do the same thing, bottom left to the top right motion, so we have that initial scratch pattern established. And I'm going to work down that area to get to that little bit of recurve. Just to flatten that out. All right, so I have a nice burr formed all the way across. So it's kind of hard with the lighting in this angle right here to see the scratch pattern, but you're really going to see it when I go in the opposite direction. And I just want to get that, try to get a lot of that burr off with this stone before we progress to the next one. All right. Give it a wipe just to try to prevent as much grit contamination as we can. I'm not always super careful about that, but I usually will still try to kind of wipe it down in between. So we're going to go ahead and get to our 220. Here's where we're going to see that scratch pattern change. And I see right there, I didn't fully bring the scratch pattern to the line on the secondary bevel, but as I progress the stones, that's going to fill in. That is just because of, I think, that market tiny bit of recurve, not market, factory recurve that came in there. It's not, I don't think it's designed that way. I think that just happens sometimes. So we see, now we see those lines forming in that different direction. Now you can really see it up here on the top left. So when I can only see, so we see up here, there's still some going in the left, the bottom left to the top right direction. Once I can't see any of those anymore, I know it will be time to flip it, do the same on the other side, and then progress to the next grit. All right, looking good. I can feel a burr across the entire edge. We're going to flip it, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now we can clearly see that burr kind of goes from the bottom left to the top right. So now we're going to change that direction. And we can see over here, there's like a mix of the two scratch patterns. And I don't want that. We want all of the previous scratch pattern gone too. And that just makes sure you have a fully refined apex. I really just am trying to take off the least amount of material that I can here. And that just extends the life of the blade. Don't really want to. I mean, that's why I kind of don't really like doing heavy reprofiles. Changing the angle completely. Is that grinding away a whole lot of material may not be entirely necessary for the use case that you have for it, but I guess some would argue that dropping the angle will give you more edge retention, so then you actually do get more life out of the blade. But all right, and there we go, a little more. And usually going from that 150 to the 220 is the most work to refine the scratch pattern. I'm going to knock that burr off a little bit with this stone. I just love that quick flip action. Yeah, I know freehand it's a lot quicker to just flip it over, but for a fixed angle system, I don't think it gets any better than that. All right, we'll do one more. All right, let's bring it up to a 400, 220 to 400. And excuse my sniffling if I leave any of that in the video. And I also like to alternate the side that I start on. So we can see that scratch pattern is going this way more so. I don't want to make it go that way. And we'll slowly see that previous one go away. And about this point, I'll try to start to kind of be conscious about the type of scratch pattern that I'm leaving for looks wise, because if I leave these kind of just short back and forth strokes, you get like these kind of inconsistent ways it looks when the light hits it. So I try to finish with some nice, just consistent long strokes. Yes, I know. To give it just a nice smooth look. I just have some stubborn scratches from the previous scratch pattern in that area, so I just want to work those out. All right, so I just finished with the 1000 grit stone. We're going to wrap it up with the strop. I'm going to do one final angle check on it before I put the strop on, because the strop is a slightly different thickness than the stones. So if I just put the strop on and strop it, it's not going to be hitting the edge at the exactly correct angle. So I'll go ahead and zero that out there. Slap that angle finder there, and I'm going to put it at right on the center of the clamp. So we've got 18.3. So now I'll take that off, throw my strop on. I love the quick change system with the stones. Put that right back in the exact position. 17.7. So we see we're a little too shallow there. Want to get it right. If anything, maybe just there. All right, so now we know we are at the exact right angle to just hit that apex with the strop. Make sure we're properly deburred. Make sure you don't actually go up with the strop. I will admit that I have done that. Test I like to do. Yep, that's good. That is good. It's just hitting on the clamp. All right, we're all done sharpening up the Quietcarry Catch in the Vanax, and we'll do a little best test just to see our results. Now, it was the factory edge. It was lightly used, but it was still pretty sharp. But I just wanted to get that factory grind out, kind of straighten out some of that edge where there was the recarve, and just put a nice little semi-polish on it. All right, 97. Let's go one more. $126. That's pretty consistent range. Usually within 30 is pretty good. I think they make these with like just a 25 increments for the cheaper side. So I think when it's close to that, I take that as pretty consistent results, as long as they're on the same scale. $89. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll do I'll cut a little bit of paper. Got this really thin magazine paper. Very good. And I like to do the 3-finger test on these. So you take 3 fingers, you kind of run along, and if you feel it bite into your fingertips and you can't really move them too far without it biting too much to cut deep, then you know you've gotten pretty good. Let's see if we can get to focus up there. You can see my fingers all kind of marred up because I do a lot of sharpening. Let's take a good look at that edge as well. We got a semi-polish on there, didn't get all the scratch marks out, but I'm really happy with the way that this edge turned out. It's very sharp. It looks great. Thank you for watching.